You're watching Appalachian Axeworks on YouTube. Alright, we got a true test hatchet here. We're going to try to make a pattern for so we can make a sheath. So the first thing I'm going to do is trace the hatchet. Alright, that should be good enough. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the welt on the pattern. So I usually try to go with at least a ½ inch for the welt. So I'll take a compass here and we'll follow the line down all the way down here. Alright. Now that can be a little rough. We can smooth that out. I'll put a French curve on that and get that nice and smooth. So we want to determine, so this is our eye right here. So we want to determine how far we want the leather to go back. So we want the leather to go back just right shy of the eye, so it covers a good portion of the hatchet. So we'll extend this up. Alright, so I went ahead and smoothed out this curve here with the French curve. So the hatchet near the eye is about 5/8 of an inch wide. So we're going to make basically a fold over sheath. So you're going to want to leave a little space in here, probably about half of that space for leather and fold. So let's spin this around this way. Let's go, probably give it a little bit of space. We don't have to get too crazy with it. And we'll go like this. A little bit of space in there. And then we can we want some coverage here. So we want to come over probably about an inch or 1.25 inches probably. So we'll come over like 1.25 inches there. Alright, so now we want to come down, we want it to come down probably about 1 inch. And you don't want it quite all the way to the eye. So we'll come down probably 3/4 of an inch to there. Now you can draw a straight line from here to here. And that kind of gives you a nice little sheath that you can see. But if you want to give it, you can give it a little curve if you want. You can put a little curve in here, or you can put 2 curves if you want. You can add all kinds of different styling if you want. You could take your French curve. You could put like a little curve there and a little curve there. Kind of give it a little different look. See, so we'll do it. Let's see. Let's add this. We'll add this little curve here, and then we'll come up and we'll add. Let's see. We'll add this little curve here. Gives a little styling. Alright. So the key to this is you get one side done, cut this one side out and fold it over and trace it, and you'll get a direct replica of the other side, and then that way when you'll have 2 identical sides. So alright, so let's move our stuff out of the way. Cutting board here. So let's see, we'll get our utility knife. Let me go ahead and cut it. Like that. And then we're going to come down here. Going to cut away the excess, get it out of the way. Alright. So we see our pattern here. We'll go ahead and cut this out. So we need this. Get it out of the way. Alright. Then we'll cut our two circles out here. Our little detail circles. Alright, cut those out. Now you can start seeing your design. Alright, now take our straight edge and we're going to fold this directly over. There we go. Let's fold it over. Then we trace. And if you're good with your blade, you can go ahead and cut it too. If you like, I usually trace and then cut it. We'll go ahead and chop this off to get it out of the way. Get out of the way. And we'll cut our little circles out here. There you go. So there's your pattern. Alright. Get the hatchet back so you can see it. So there you go. That's your pattern. Now you left space in here for a welt. Okay, so what I usually do is I'll take this piece and I'll cut basically cut another one out. This is where I'll make the welt. Alright. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see, we'll cut it. And we use a straight edge here. Tighten that up a little bit. It's a little bit sloppy. There we go. Let's see. There we go. And I usually leave it a little bit long on the ends, but there you go. So you got your welt, and it's a little bit long. I usually cut my welt a little big, and then when I go to glue it, then I'll trim it up. So, but you can see, there you go. And then I'll leave this little tail on there. Once the glue's dry, then I'll just come along with my knife and I'll trim the leather off on that tail. And while you're at it, too, one thing I like to do is go ahead and measure for the strap while you got the sheath on there. So you're probably going to run a strap from about midpoint here. So we got about 4.5 inches. So cut about a 10-inch strap just to give yourself a little leeway there. But I usually try to measure the strap out before, that way I can cut all my pieces out, and then when I cut a strap that's not, you know, I don't end up with a strap that's too long. Alright, so what you end up with is a fairly symmetrical sheath by folding in half like that. And I usually, if you've watched, you know, any of my other videos, I usually make notes on the patterns. So this one was True Test Hatchet. And then I'm going to put on here 10-inch strap. That way when I go to cut the leather, I'll know. Put it on the welt too. And there we go. So there's the pattern. Pretty simple, quick, easy to do. Just use a manila envelope. These are not new manila envelopes. I usually reuse some used ones. That way I'm not have to buy some, but you can get manila envelopes fairly cheaply. And these are pretty sturdy, so these make pretty good pattern. You know, manila envelopes make pretty good patterns. So, alright, so the next step is get a piece of leather and we'll cut it out. Alright, so I got my piece of 8-9 ounce veg tan leather. This is leather I got from Weaver. I like ordering from Weaver Leather Supply because they have their they ship the leather for free and you can return it for free, no questions asked. I've never had to return a piece, but it kind of gives you a little peace of mind when you're ordering leather. So, and I went ahead and cut this off of a side so it can fit on my work surface here so you can actually see it. So I got the pattern here. Let's see. We'll lay it on here and we'll give it a trace. There we go. Got it all traced out. Got my handy dandy cutting board here. And one thing I like to do is that sometimes I'll go and I'll do all the straight edges first. There we go. Let's see, cut it through. There we go. Alright, let's do the long curve. Well, one thing you always want to make sure you have a fresh blade. One thing I've always heard is you should always treat the blades as if they're free. so you always got a fresh blade in. Cut. Cut. Let's see. And I'm always careful, very careful at the corners. Let's see. We're almost there. Almost there. Tough leather. There we go. Alright. So we're good there. And then we'll do our curves. Get those done. Well, no, I just put a fresh side on this blade, but it is cutting like it's not fresh. So we may have to go ahead and switch out again, because yeah, it's not too bad. It'll trim up good. So there you go. So you got that cut out, and the welt is there. I might even be able to get a strap out of this piece, maybe. We shall see. But there we are so far. Alright, so I went ahead and beveled the edge here with the #1 beveler. This is a craft tool from Tandy. One thing, you'll want to make sure you keep these very sharp. A trick that I learned, and it's not my trick, but I adopted it and I use it now, is I took a piece of paracord and I screwed it to the side of my workbench here, and I put the sharpening rouge, just rub it on the paracord, and each time before I use it I just take my edger and run it along the paracord, and keeps me nice and sharp. And that's not my trick, I learned it from somebody else, I don't remember who, but it's a very handy trick, so it works really good. But there you go. So edge is beveled. I went ahead and cut out the welt. Some guys on welts, they'll just take a strap cutter and they'll just cut it straight, but I actually like to cut the welt out the same. It's just something I like to do. It makes it easier when you go to, because I use cement on all my welts, so just when you go to bond them, it just makes it easier when they're shaped to fit. Alright, so the next step, we'll come up with a design for it and lay out some lines. Stay tuned.